Welcome to episode 59 of Shane Talks. There should be only one. As always, I am joined by Jason L. Mayer, my super co-host, who actually came up with the idea for this week's episode, which made me really happy because, oh man, I was kicking around a couple of ideas to pitch to you, logged into Facebook, saw that you had put up a question for everybody, and I said, boom, that's this week's episode. Made my life so much easier. So thank you for that. We're going to be talking about movies that didn't need sequels at all. And it's weird because we're going to get into some franchises and I don't know, there's some franchises where it's just whatever. So, we'll get into talking about that. If you didn't hear the 18-second intro music that played at the beginning of the episode, that was written by Micah Scott Winters, and it's amazing. I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that next week we're going to have our first guest on the show in 2022, and it's going to be Micah. And Micah's going to talk to us about movies and music and his history with doing movies with us and stuff. So really looking forward to our first guest. As we said in our resolutions section, we're going to try to have some of our very talented friends on this year and just kind of interview them and chat with them and catch up and find out about all the creative stuff that they're doing these days. So next week, Micah Scott Winters will be our first guest of 2022, and it's going to be a lot of fun chatting with him. All right, real quick. Last week, we discussed the fact that you and I were going to see Scream the next day together, and we did. I got my negative COVID test last Thursday morning, thank God, and so we were able to go watch the movie last Thursday night. I want your reaction, your public opinion reaction to the movie. It currently has a 75 on Rotten Tomatoes for the critics and an 84 for the fan or the audience voting. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. I could have gone up to an 8. I liked it. All day Friday, I just thought about the movie, and I think I liked it more the more I thought about it. So I can't wait to go watch it a second time. I'm jealous we have friends that have already seen it twice, and I haven't. But hopefully I can go catch it again. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. Let me hear your feelings.
Yeah.
Really?
It was, it's better than part 3. I feel like it's kind of on par with part 4 for me.
Really? I liked it a lot more than I like 4.
Yeah, yeah. I just thought it was kind of, there's some stuff in it, especially once more comes to light closer to the end of the film that just doesn't make sense. And I mean,
it's a slasher film, bro.
Granted, there were other things that didn't make sense if you go back and look at the other ones as well. But there were some glaring things in this one once you get reveals that are just no, don't work.
Again, but all slasher movies I have a suspension of disbelief with. I mean, there are other urban legend, completely implausible, the entire plot once you find out who the killer is, and I still love that movie.
I have no idea why.
Because it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Bro, it's about urban legends. It didn't need a sequel. I can throw that on this list. But again, as we'll discuss at some point, I give the horror genre a pass. I just kind of expect sequels every time any horror movie is written. In 2000, there was a horror movie written called Consternate. I'm still waiting for a sequel for that one.
Well, sometimes you just don't make a sequel to a classic. And like you said, there should be only one. Maybe Consternate is the Highlander of horror.
Of the horror genre. Word. So this week's episode is going to be the sequel to our second episode, which we talked about sequels in episode 2, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago at least. It would have been May of 2000 that we did our second episode. So it's been a long time, but this is kind of the sequel to that sequel, where we talked about movies that had sequels, but this time we are seriously focusing on community answers to your question. What made you decide to ask this question?
Honestly, I stole it from a different movie group that I'm a part of on Facebook.
Oh,
And somebody else posted it, and I even posted that on the post. Was yes, I did steal this from somebody else's post, but
okay.
it was a different group altogether. I can't remember which movie group that was.
Sure.
But yeah, it was literally like, what movie do you love that should have never had a sequel?
Okay.
So while our friend Jason Richardson does take liberties apparently with the word love, um, I like your idea of trying to get it down, to whittle it down to maybe like a top 5 or something. Yeah, there's just certain movies that should never have been touched
Sure.
and never sequelized, and then but they did it anyway. So
Yep, they sure did. So, you posed the question. Let's have your list of answers of what you came up with first.
you know what's really tough is I'm looking at my answers that you wrote down, and I'm like, man, like I don't know. Like, I agree that all of these, I would say I love, like, oh, you've got 6 of them for me. Sorry. So
That's
I
right.
love 4 of these movies. The other 2 are just kind of okay. So
I have a
I ended
feeling
up
we're going to
getting,
love the same 4.
I was going to say, I ended up getting caught up in the whole, like, writing out what movies but people do love these. So the first one I'm going to mention is Home Alone. Like,
Agreed.
this is I don't love this movie. I very strongly like this movie. My kids love this movie, which makes sense. It's the perfect time of their lives for this kind of movie to come around. It's a classic. This week I started listening to ID 10T.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's
Chris
what it
Hardwick's
is now.
podcast. Yep.
Yeah, Chris Hardwick's podcast, and I was actually listening to the Chris Columbus episode.
Oh, that's a very good one. Yeah.
And so he was talking about Home Alone and the trials and tribulations of getting that made. And
Dude, and the movies that made us episode that they did for it, where you literally see that they built the entire house in a gymnasium of a school. Like, that's that was I had never known that. It's really awesome. And the other thing I will say is, I was age appropriate, as were you, when these first 2 movies came out. So I do really like the second one also. However, I would have been fine had they never done a sequel to this movie. But because they did, I do love the second one also.
My problem with the second one is it's literally the first movie all over again. It just, we're going to put you in New York instead of at your house, which makes it that more unbelievable,
for sure,
and ridiculous. But so Home Alone is definitely something that's a timeless classic that did not need a sequel. So
for sure,
we'll go with that first. Second up, I'm going to talk about is another one from my childhood that I absolutely loved and I thought was awesome when it came out. Totally inappropriate for a 6-year-old
for sure
to watch RoboCop in the theater on opening week. But hey, that's what my parents did, and I loved it back then, and I still really enjoy this movie now. It's a really solid film.
Yes, it is.
That sequel, both of the sequels.
The
second one is bad, but then the third one's even worse. So it's like you shouldn't have made a sequel to the sequel, let alone the first one. But yeah, so RoboCop, love the movie, love the social commentary on how America was at the time, how the kind of still is.
I was going to say a couple of years ago, I guess almost 10 years ago now, when the new RoboCop was being released, we watched the original on the big screen before that, and it was really funny how it still kind of correlates to the way like society is today.
So yeah, like RoboCop's my second one that I'll bring up. My next 2 are literally because of my love for Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Nothing wrong with that.
My daughter's name is Sarah. Like it's just Cruel Intentions and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Are like amazing films for me, especially right after high school. One was in high school, one was right after high school. Both my love for that woman. And both enjoyable movies. Really like them a lot. I Know What You Did Last Summer, going back to the horror phase that we were talking about earlier, the Scream, like, it's not an original story.
Nope.
It's just well done for me personally. And, you know,
they were age appropriate.
Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Felipe, Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, Bridget Nielsen, like it's just tons of girls and guys that we really grew up with at that time frame. So it worked. What's up?
Bridget Wilson Sampras.
Yeah, she ended up marrying Pete Sampras after.
Well, you said Bridget Nielsen, and that threw me off for a second.
What's her name?
Bridget Wilson Sampras.
Oh, Wilson. That's right. My fault.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
Bridget Nielsen is the one who was married to, or she played Red Sonja.
Yep.
So, sorry about that.
Well, and Cruel Intentions.
Hopefully that the actress will forgive me for voting.
Cruel Intentions coming up in about a month. I think it's going to be the March 5th episode of Shane Talks 99. I'll get to gush over Cruel Intentions and how much I love that movie, and I'll talk about us watching it twice in one day.
Yeah, that really enjoy that movie.
Yep.
Retelling of Dangerous Liaisons, but with the teenage spin on it and kick-ass soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, apparently, I don't think I've ever watched the second or third Cruel Intentions, or if there's 4, I can't remember. But yeah,
I know I've seen the second one, and it was garbage. I didn't know there was a third one.
Yeah, I think I might have watched maybe I did watch a little bit of it because I think Susan Ward was in it, and she's really good looking as well. So
gotcha.
But yeah, for the most part, all these movies suck. So shouldn't have made sequels. The last 2 I'll touch on. One of my favorite understated movies of all time. And we've talked about action adventure movies before. And how much we really enjoy Raiders of the Lost Ark, how much that kind of fed into our love with The Mummy. And then for me personally, and I know you really enjoyed it, Jungle Cruise is in this kind of action adventure story. Mask of Zorro hits a home run with Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins, Catherine Zeta-Jones. I mean, it's literally, it's fantastic, beginning to end. I don't get bored. I love this movie. So much fun.
Yep.
And then they went and made The Legend of Zorro, and that movie sucks from beginning to end. I don't connect with any of the characters emotionally.
Yeah.
The whole, like, we're going to break up the marriage or whatever, or act like it's completely on the rocks, doing the buddy cop thing, like throughout most of the movie. It sucks. It's just bad. The last movie I'll touch on, though, is a movie I never expected to like and loved way more than I ever thought I could. Jake Gyllenhaal, Patrick Swayze, Megan Gyllenhaal, Noah Weil. I think it was produced by Drew Barrymore. I don't think she's in it now that I say that.
I think she is in it. Isn't she one of the teachers?
I think she might. I know. Whatever the case.
Yeah.
Donnie Darko, Jenna Malone's in it. Awesome time travel, sci-fi looper kind of movie. It's fantastic. I really enjoy it. I hope everybody who has watched it really enjoys it. Stay away from the director's cut. Director's cut sucks. But apparently they made a sequel to it
with the little sister. Drew Barrymore is in the cast.
Okay, so they gave the little sister the power of Donnie Darko, and I just on principle refuse to watch it. So
yeah, me too. I've never seen it either.
But I don't. It's not even something that would ever scream sequel to me. So that's my 6. You picked 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, I picked 7.
You picked 7.
I got 7.
They never made a sequel to that movie.
My first one that I came up with as soon as I saw you put the post up, my number one thing that I typed up, I believe this to this day, is The Matrix.
That would be on everybody's list, I think.
I think so too. They've done 3 sequels to it now. Every single one of them I have hated. I take that back. I hated 2 and 3. I just disliked 4. There was stuff in 4 that was okay, but I mean, I don't really have any intention of ever watching it again. Like, it was very blah. So, The Matrix, I literally love, as your original question stated, I love the first Matrix. Hate all the sequels. Uh, Next up for me would be Jaws, since it kind of falls into that like horror category, kind of like, sequels are expected, but I'm pretty sure I've only seen every sequel to Jaws once because they weren't memorable enough for me to care about watching them. So
I was going to say Jaws 2, and don't get me wrong, I can totally see where you're coming from on this, but Jaws 2 is kind of like, I don't know, like it's not that bad of a sequel. 3 and 4 are really bad.
Well, and see, I would watch 3 again if I got the chance to watch it in 3D, like in a theater, not in somebody's fucking house. But like, gotcha. If I could see a red-blue 3D version of it in the theater, like I'm sure they showed it at Castleton Arts at some point. Really?
I don't remember that.
I just expected it. But
yeah, understood.
Yeah, so I would give it another go for that, but it's blah. So another movie that I do really enjoy is Taken, and I thought both sequels were absolute garbage. I don't like either one of them. So Taken, wish there was only one. Basic Instinct, little kind of tongue in cheek. Like, I mean, they waited like almost 20 years to make a sequel to it, and it was obviously just a cash grab. So,
and they did a PG-13 Basic Instinct.
Exactly.
Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, very stupid. So
wasn't that one of those movies that kept getting pulled too? Like it was like supposed to come out and they pulled it and then they brought it out, but right before it came out, they pulled it again.
I think they just kept getting really bad test screenings or something, and so they just
never going to test well.
Yeah. So yeah, Basic Instinct garbage, never needed a sequel. Speed, same thing. The first Speed is classic. It's amazing. It's awesome. Speed 2 Cruise Control is complete garbage. So there was no reason to make the same thing on a boat. I don't know if they had just watched Under Siege and thought that would be a good idea to put it on a boat. So I have no idea. This one got 2 sequels. The Crow. The first Crow is phenomenal. Brilliant, amazing, beautiful film, very well done. It looks awesome, has a great story. And then, I mean, the death of Brandon Lee should have been assigned to somebody that this should just be a masterpiece that stays a masterpiece. And let's not bastardize it by, making 2 really shitty sequels, one with Edward Furlong, I believe.
That was the third one. It was
the third one
or the third one.
I can't
remember. The second one was City of Angels, but I don't remember if Edward Furlong was in that one or the third one that had David Boreanaz. I think that was the third one with David Boreanaz.
Okay, so maybe Edward Furlong was the second one. I just be a blah. No reason to ever make a sequel to the
I think Edward Furlong was the bad guy.
Is that what it was?
One?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that not memorable. Didn't need to be fucking made.
I'll look it up while you're talking.
Word. Well, my last one that I was going to bring up in my list was Weekend at Bernie's, because I really love the first movie. I think it's hilarious. And the second one is so not funny and so not enjoyable. And how they decided that having a dead body running around with 2 guys was good enough to make another movie about, blah.
Well, and the messed up part is that second one doesn't take place like right after the first one.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be like a while later, and it's like his body didn't decompose.
Exactly. And I think I'm going to look this up while you're telling me about the Crow movies. I think this is another one that the first one's rated R and the sequel was PG-13.
That's very possible. So the Crow, City of Angels is the second movie.
Okay.
First one came out in 94. Second one comes out in 96. The 96 one was Vincent Perez as the Crow.
Oh.
Kirshner's in it. Iggy Pop is in it. Thomas Jane is in it. But yeah, it got a 4.7. I had the poster though. The poster was pretty dope. And then the third movie was The Crow, Wicked Prayer.
Oh.
Edward Furlong was your Crow.
Okay.
And then you had Tara Reid in it, David Boreanaz, Emmanuel Cherokee, Danny Trejo. Yeah, it had quite a few people in it that you knew. So, but Yeah, so the third one's the one with Edward Furlong.
So Weekend at Bernie's is even worse than expected. It went from a PG-13 movie to a PG movie for the second one.
Oh.
Yeah, like you couldn't even stay on par with the PG-13 level of comedy. Like, yeah, obviously that's definitely why I was not a fan of that. First person that commented after me on this was my buddy Steve Wilhammer, who threw out two really good suggestions, ones that I would agree with. He commented on the Blues Brothers, claiming that the Blues Brothers 2000 was garbage, which I completely agree with. Never a fan of that movie. And American Psycho, which I have never seen the sequel to, and I don't think there needs to be a sequel to it, so I have no intention of ever watching an American Psycho sequel. How do you feel about those two movies?
Blues Brothers 2000, never saw it. Not something I was ever interested in. It just looked stupid from the trailers. I worked at movie theaters at the time, so I could have seen it free, but I was not interested.
Oh, wow.
Grew up watching Blues Brothers throughout my childhood. My mom and dad really cared or liked the original quite a bit. And then American Psycho, I didn't really, I'm a weird person apparently, because I didn't care for the first one at all. Maybe I'll have a different opinion if I watched it now. I don't think I've watched it in its entirety since it came out, maybe. I just thought it was kind of gross and unnecessary, violent, and I just totally didn't dig it.
Well, first of all, coming from a narcissist, I really enjoyed the movie because aside from the violence, there's just like the scene where they're comparing business cards is just pure, well-written, amazing sequence. But like, I like slasher movies, so I don't mind seeing people getting cut up.
No, I don't care about that. It just like the violence was kind of ratcheted up. Like, wasn't there like an NC-17 version or an
I believe so,
version or something? And I probably watched that because of the fact that I was like, oh, well, give me the gorier version. And
sure.
I don't know. Never enjoyed the movie. Like, Christian Bale's good at acting, but I didn't care for the film. So, But yeah, they made the second one with like Mila Kunis or something that.
Yeah, she was like his nephew or something like that. Well, then, like one thing I guess I always did love. What's that?
You mean niece?
Yeah. Wow, yeah.
No, I mean now it would be the nephew and just change gender roles. It wouldn't probably be a problem.
One thing I did always love about this movie was its connection to Rules of Attraction, because I was also a huge fan of Rules of Attraction, but the fact that Patrick Bateman and then James Van Der Beek's character are related, and in Rules of Attraction, he actually calls Patrick Bateman. I always thought that was really a really cool connection since they were written by the same author. So Mark Stratton's first answer is probably the entire reason that this question has ever been asked in the history of the world.
Should be a mic drop after you say this.
Yep. There can be only one Highlander film. Unless you're going to make 4 sequels, a TV series, and an animated movie, there doesn't have to just be one. And like, I think they're doing another TV series now, if I remember right. But I guess it's like a reboot of the whole story or something like that. But like, probably the dumbest tagline or concept in the history of cinema was there can be only one. But like, it's a great idea, but like they should have known that there was never just going to be one. I mean, maybe they didn't know. It was an independent film. So
have you watched it more recently?
Maybe within the last 5 years.
It's a very cheesy film.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I absolutely really adore the movie. Queen
is Scotsman playing a Spaniard.
Queen is one of my all-time favorite bands. So listening to their awesome soundtrack for this movie is always fun. And oh my gosh, I can't think of the bad guy's name.
Oh, yeah, Clancy Brown, the Kurgan.
The Kurgan, thank you. He is just awesome.
Yeah, like, he's crazy.
He chews the scenery every time he's in every single scene in that movie, and he's just fantastic. And it looked like he was having so much more fun than everybody else who was on that set. But yeah, totally agree that there can be only one. There should
have been only one. Yep. So the Poseidon Adventure, I had no clue that there was a sequel to that. I don't know what it's called. If it's Poseidon Adventure 2, like, doesn't the boat sink in the Poseidon Adventure?
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought. So, like, when he says that there's a sequel to that, I have no idea about that. He puts Predator out there. This is still Mark Stratton. Put out Predator, which, I mean, I know I'm one of the very few people that actually enjoys Predator 2, but, like, I'm assuming that he's saying, like, all Predator sequels, like the Adrian Brody, or not Adrian Brody, Adrian Brody version, the recent Shane Black version, probably both Alien vs. Predator movies Mark is addressing, which I could probably do without all those, but again, I'm that small. Same thing with Home Alone. While I do like the second one, if they had never made a Predator sequel, I would have been fine. What's up?
Beyond the Poseidon Adventure is the sequel to Poseidon.
What's the tagline for that?
Before her fate is sealed by the deep, the superliner Poseidon will reveal one last secret.
Oh, okay.
The greatest adventure story ever filmed is not over yet.
Interesting. Yeah, I had absolutely no idea that sequel ever existed. What's its IMDb rating?
Let me pull that up for you. A 4.7.
Oh, not so good.
Dude, listen to this. Michael Caine, Sally Field, Terry Savalas, Peter Boyle, Jack Warden, Shirley Knight, Shirley Jones.
Don't call me Shirley.
Mark Harmon.
Oh, Mark Harmon.
Yeah, dude, like this thing is like loaded with peeps. And
ask my mom if she's ever watched this. My mom's a huge Mark Harmon fan.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, Summer School is awesome. The last one Mark threw out there for us was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Was
that the second one?
I think so. Cool. The Pee-wee movies or whatever they like. I mean, as a kid, I watched the TV series, but I don't remember ever being like super invested in any of the movies. So I honestly probably could have done without any Pee-wee movies at all, but that's just me.
I'm right there with you. I never found them as funny as everybody else did. I just remember sitting there going, "Oh, like, okay, it's kind of humorous." So yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure was 85. Then they gave Big Top Pee-wee, which was 88. So
yeah, I don't remember liking that one very much. So word, our former employee, Mr. Burton Fisher, threw out the Kingsman movie, and I'm fine with that because I was not a fan of the sequel at all. Like, didn't need it. Yep.
And I've just had a small inkling of, do I want to go see this prequel that came out recently? So
I don't even think it's coming out in theaters anymore, man.
No, it's already out.
Oh, I see. Okay, because they just announced like in a week or two it's coming to Hulu.
Yeah, it came out on Christmas.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Word.
Yeah.
That's how out of the loop I am. So my buddy Nick Joy threw out one that I had actually also thought of, but didn't put it out there, but I agree with it completely. I only needed that first Hangover movie. I didn't need any of the other ones. They were very pathetic cash grabs that did not capture the magic of the first one.
I will say that there are some really funny messed up things that happen in that second movie.
Sure.
That second movie really just messed up, but sure. I will say I didn't need any more. I did love the first one. I cracked up a lot. So yeah.
Yep. My buddy Nick Hall had some suggestions. The first one, I've never seen Caddyshack 2, so I have no comparison for this. I do love the first Caddyshack, but I've never seen the sequel. Have you?
I've seen the sequel way more times than I ever saw the original, and I think that's
really
one of those TV movies that was on all the time on Saturdays or Sundays.
Okay.
On like Fox 59.
Okay.
And so I won't say that I like it more than the original by any means, but yeah, I think I've seen it more just because it was on TV.
Very weird. And then Dumb and Dumber being another one that I have to 100% agree with, because both the sequel and the prequel to this movie were things I never cared to watch and were complete wastes of my time.
Yep.
Yeah, both of them were
You know
absolute
what?
garbage.
But I will say that until November, I would have put Ghostbusters on this list.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's an interesting. Yeah, that third Ghostbusters movie is solid, legit solid.
So, yeah, until Afterlife came out, and then I'm like, okay, never mind. Like, you're allowed to make a sequel to that movie. So,
yeah, for sure.
But anyway, we've harped on that enough. Now come the very long list.
Yep. So yeah,
have a lot. I mean, wow.
I mean, and anybody who's listened to this podcast on any episode that Jason Richardson has been on, you know he loves his movies, and he loves some pretty shitty movies. And you called him out when he posted like his second or third list that he put up, saying you love all of these movies. And he kind of tried to backpedal a little bit, but we're gonna go through everything that he listed, and we'll see. Look who's talking. Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yep. Only needed the first one. Universal Soldier.
Shitty movie. Didn't need the first one. Don't need the sequel.
I'm pretty sure the sequel was a 1999 movie, or was it 98? Ooh, I can't remember. I don't know if I'll be doing an episode on that one or not. He threw out Teen Wolf, and I'm gonna put this in the exact same category I did with Home Alone and with whatever that other one was. What I was just talking about, Predator. I like the second movie. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, like a legit guilty pleasure of mine, because I know it's a bad movie, but I, for whatever reason, like it. But I didn't need it. If it had never existed, it wouldn't have mattered to me. But I do like Teen Wolf too. Leprechaun.
Now, see, I can argue with this
because Leprechaun in the Hood is really good.
Leprechaun in the Hood is a really funny sequel that's worth like that kid, you know, kind of like how Ghostbusters gets negated or removed from this list because the third movie was that good, or fourth one, whichever you want to call it.
Sure.
But yeah, Leprechaun, I don't even remember the first Leprechaun. I know I've seen it, and I know Jennifer Aniston's in it. I don't remember anything about it other than that, pretty much.
Gotcha.
And like we used to have, you know, when you're a teenager, way back in the day, you'd go to the video store. You'd have a sleepover. Guys would go to the video store and pick out like one or two movies to come home and marathon through and stay up until stupid hours of the night.
Especially if you heard rumors that there were titties in those movies.
Yeah. And then Leprechaun was definitely one of those movies. And so was Leprechaun in the Hood. Like Leprechaun in the Hood was something that I remember watching. I really want to say I was over at Mark Buckwalter's house, and
I can see that. Was the fifth one Leprechaun in Space?
I think so, but
okay. I've never seen that one. That's the one where I guess I drew the line with Leprechaun in Space, but yeah, that's always been the one that like I never got around to watching. I agree with this one 100%. The sequel to Independence Day was garbage, so we only ever needed the first one. 100% agree with that. Species, I don't believe I've ever seen any of the sequels. I like the first movie a lot. I've just never seen a sequel to it.
First movie's fine.
Yeah.
I don't remember, like, we had a whole like genre at that point in time that was like supernatural alien movie coming.
Relic was another one that comes to mind around that time. I really
like the Relic. I remember liking it a lot.
I remember it being fun.
Yeah, but like Species and oh gosh, Mimic.
Oh, Mimic, yep.
That came out around that time. Phantoms. Ben Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo. Bong.
48 hours. Go ahead, say it.
I didn't care for either one of those movies enough that I don't even remember them, man. Like
I think they blend together for me. Like I don't think I could tell you parts that were in either one of the movies.
Probably same here. Like
yeah,
I haven't seen either one of those in 30 years.
Sure. It's been a long time for me too. Next on his list was Stakeout. The sequel was another Stakeout.
I remember.
Yep. I remember just kind of liking both of them. Like Stakeout's fine. It's Emilio Estevez. So, you know, when I was, you know, in my early teens, like he was the Mighty Duck Man for me. Yeah.
out.
The mighty Duckman tipped his hat. But yeah, so like I kind of liked a lot of stuff that I saw him in. Like I think that's why I liked like the Young Guns movies, which didn't make this list because Young Guns 2 is amazing.
I don't remember liking Young Guns 2 nearly as much, but I love Young Guns 1.
Yeah.
That is definitely a fun Western.
Oh, yeah. So I think pretty much like anything Emilio did at that point was stuff that I liked as a kid. So like I liked Another Stakeout. His next movie was Analyze This, which I remember Analyze That being crap. So I'm gonna have to agree with him.
Analyze This, I remember really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then Analyze That was literally a cash grab. So
it is insane how many 1999 films are being talked about tonight. Like Analyze This is going to be one that has its own episode on Shane Talks 99.
Which is interesting because we're on a 9th episode.
We are. Wow. Whoa. So this started a wonderfully fun debate where Jason Richardson said Scream 2, and he is absolutely wrong. Yes, absolutely wrong. Scream 2. I know you and I have had this discussion recently where you have claimed that you would not argue with anybody who said that Scream 2 is better than Scream 1. I put them at like, right here and right here. Like I really do love the second one and think it's very close, but can't surpass the first one. But like
I'm in the same boat as you, but okay. Like I said, if somebody came to me and was arguing for it, I couldn't be like so Jaybird's wrong on
100% wrong on Scream.
But if somebody came to me and said Scream 2 is better than the first one, I could be like, I can see your point. I don't agree, but you're not stupid.
And in our Facebook group, I got a little defensive at this point because I am a huge fan of all 5 of the Scream films. Okay, I'm a fan of the 5 Scream films as a franchise. On this list easily could have been Halloween, Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street. We didn't need sequels to any of those. The horror genre, as I said earlier, just kind of lends itself to these are really cheap to make and they make their money back, so we're going to make them. So I just kind of always assume the sequels are going to be inferior products when they come out in the horror genre. So I guess just I'm always mentally prepared for that. Granted, I feel like I got something better than I expected from the newest Scream, so I'm very happy with that franchise. Jason Richardson's next comment was Grown Ups. I do remember liking the first one a lot, but I also don't remember hating the second one.
I don't remember watching the second one. I remember watching the first one and enjoying it.
Yeah, because the second one's got the water park stuff in it, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Oh, was the first one was the basketball game? I don't know. Maybe I'm blending the two of them together. So, Grown Ups is what it is. Obviously the second one's not a huge memory to me. I just remember watching it and not hating it, but I don't think it was that great either. The Mask is obviously, I can agree with this because Son of the Mask, despite the fact that I like Jamie Kennedy, Son of the Mask was absolute garbage.
Yeah, I will 100% agree with you on that one. Yeah.
So, Major League. Did Major League need a sequel?
Hell no.
Really? You didn't?
That second movie sucks balls, dude.
I need to watch it again then, because that was one that
I only say that because it's kind of like Legend of Zorro versus Mask of Zorro. Like Mask of Zorro is top shelf, and then Legend of Zorro is just blah. And Major League is.
Oh my God, dude, this is even worse. First Major League, rated R. Second Major League, PG. You didn't even attempt to go to a PG-13 sequel? Okay. Maybe it is worse than I remember it. Next up would be the whole 9 yards, which I never saw the whole 10 yards. Go ahead.
Total 10 yards sucked. So bad. 9 is entertaining enough.
Okay. How do you feel about the Police Academy franchise?
See, this is where there's like 3 good Police Academy movies, and I want to say they made 6.
At
So they're
least
like half and
6.
half. So like I
Okay.
really like the first one. I think it was I like the first 2, 3, the first 3. Or is it 1, 2, and 4 that I really liked? I can't remember.
I don't know.
But
Wasn't 6 Russia?
6 was Russia.
Yeah. I remember that one being pretty ridiculous.
I want to say 4 was Citizens on Patrol. So
Okay.
that one I really enjoy and think
Right on.
So, yep.
Very cool. Well, that is everything that everybody had suggested. What? Oh man, I thought I had another. Another one that I had come up with. Pirates of the Caribbean. I really like that first movie. The 4 fucking sequels did not need to ever be done. They're all stupid and have terrible plots and are just absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, just a day or two ago, I came up with Pirates of the Caribbean was one that I wanted to add to this.
Yeah, you could definitely add that. And I mean, there's plenty more. As far as like a movie though that you like,
Fast and the Furious, I guess. Okay. The Muppets. Okay, well,
no, not the Muppets. The Mummy.
Oh, the Mummy. 100%. Yes.
Like,
only the first Mummy was good.
Yeah, like that second one, it negates so many things that happened in the first one, and then the third one changes actresses. And I never even saw the third one.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, it's bad. Yeah, it's really bad.
But yeah, like the Mummy should have been on this list, honestly.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, it definitely should have.
So
another 1999 film that deserved to be talked about tonight. But dude, yeah, the Fast and the Furious franchise, dude. Like, I would have been fine if they just stopped with 1. Like,
yeah, but I really enjoy. I think it's like 4 or 5. I think it's 4 and 5, and I actually kind of dug Tokyo Drift quite a bit.
Yeah.
For being something that's not centered on Dom or Brian. So like,
well, and don't get me wrong, like I enjoy the whole franchise. Like I think it's ridiculous, and I invest myself in that. Like it is what it is. This ninth that we just had come out, like it was pretty dumb, but I still had a fun way. I've said before, I feel that they are in the same way that the Mission Impossible films have gone. Like they are so far from what Mission Impossible should be that now I just have to accept the stupidity and ridiculousness of these Mission Impossible films. Exact same way that I feel.
Like mostly based in like reality. Like,
I mean, you don't know that you could take a car to outer space. You don't know that it can't be done.
Oh my God. I think I'm ending this call right now.
What else? You got any other? Thank God they only ever made one Mo Money film. They never tried to cash in on a sequel to Mo Money.
Or White Man Can't Jump, right?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, aren't they doing a sequel to White Man Can't Jump?
Dude, probably are.
No, I like legit. I think it's either a sequel or a reboot of it. But yeah, I've recently read about White Man Can't Jump is getting something done to it. Yeah. All right. So this week, in a day after this episode goes up, will be my second episode of Shane Talks 99, where I talk about the worst week ever released in 1999. Like legit, the 2 movies I get to talk about on this episode are the Sharon Stone movie Gloria, which I refer to as the not funny Big Daddy, and then the British comedy Still Crazy. Do you remember that one?
No.
Bill Nye, Billy Connolly, Timothy Spall, another big British actor whose name is escaping me right now, and they were all in a band together. So like 20 years after they break up, one of the roadies or like the groupies from the band tries to get them all back together to play a concert, like a 20-year Since You Broke Up concert. I think it played at Castleton Arts. Yeah, because it technically was released in 98 in England, but it didn't get an American release until January of 99. And it was nominated for a Golden Globe, so it's not like it's a bad movie. I don't remember hating it, but I also don't remember a lot about the movie. So I get to talk about that 2 pieces of crap. And I officially say that it's the worst release week of 1999 and that they can only get better from there. We've already mentioned the fact that next week's episode will be you, me, and Micah Scott Winters, and I'm really excited to talk to him. He's going to discuss his inspirations for writing music. He's going to talk about the very small 2 sentences I gave him to write the opening intro music for Shane Talks and how he actually turned it into something phenomenal in like 6 hours. And then we're going to talk to him about some of his working with us back in our film days and the band that he was in back then. So it should be a lot of fun to catch up with Micah and talk about all that stuff.
Sounds good, man.
All right, dude. Well, I will see you next week.